Brace the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an Enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. Start converting your B2B audience today. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started today at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show. And in today's episode, I wouldn't say recently. It was maybe, last week? Because I think that's when I had started posting all these different videos. But to kind of give you guys a little bit of a backstory. So, I was playing the video game Arc Raiders. A lot of it. I think I had put well over 2 days worth of hours into that game. A little over 2 days, I believe. Because I think I might have stopped off at 49, maybe 50 hours and stuff. So, but no, overall though, I played a lot of that game. I have fun with it. It's definitely one of those games where I understand why it blew up the way that it did. Because no, at first when I had started playing it, I didn't really like it at first. But I think that came from a place of not really liking extraction shooters. And so yeah, Arc Raiders being the biggest game, I played it, just curious to see what it was about, curious to see what the hype was all about. And that's the thing with games like that. It's based off of hype. It's not based off of gameplay. It's not based off of the amount of content that the game has. Because when I think of video games that have a lot of content, I think of stuff like the modded content in Grand Theft Auto 5. I think of the multiple modes that still get played till this day on Gmod. I think of all the different things that they added over the years to Fortnite. Those are games that has a lot of content. And even if you were to take away the modded stuff in Grand Theft Auto, still the game, it had its the single player stuff and the multiplayer stuff before they added all the modded I don't know why I keep saying modded equipment, but or I want to say it, but no, before they added all the modded servers and different things that you could have now in that game. I'm over here seeing modded cars, shoes, clothes, and I'm they're people wearing whole Balenciaga outfits in that game, driving Mustangs and Koenigseggs, and I'm all bruh, how did they do that? But no, I think it's through that one software 5M, and then you gotta download stuff and things. But anyways, no, so the reason why I'm doing this episode, one mode isn't good for games, because a lot of people like to defend that, but they're going based off of hype. They're not going based off of how long this game could last. And it's funny because it was somebody not too long ago, they were asking me that question, how many modes is a game supposed to have? And my thing is this: if I want my game to have a lot of to last a while, I want it to be one of those top contender games that's still getting played, and about 1 million video games done came out over the years. Because the crazy thing is look at all the different games that came out since Fortnite. Look at all the different games that came out since Grand Theft Auto. Look at all the different games that came out since Gmod. And people still play those 3 games like they just came out. You see Vanoss and his friends, they still be playing Prop Hunt, Guess Who, Death Run. I'm trying to think of some other stuff. I think that's mainly about it that I see where they really be playing that and stuff. But and then with Grand Theft Auto, I don't know how many times I've seen where I'll join in on their streams and they're still playing a game that came out back in 2013, and I think Gmod came out even further before that. But no, because I think Gmod, that might have came out. When did Gmod release? Hold on, now I feel like I gotta look that up, because I'm that game's been out for a minute. When did Gmod come out? 2006. Yeah, it was like Gary's Mod. That's what it was like the G had stood for. But anyways, I knew it, but I was like, okay, let me just confirm it and stuff. But no, so and then yeah, years later, Grand Theft Auto 5 came out. The game came out in 2013, and then Fortnite came out in 2017. And you know what's funny is that Gmod probably wasn't the game that it is right now that it was back then. Same with Grand Theft Auto. That game isn't the game that it was that it is now than it was back then. And same with Fortnite. When Fortnite came out, and I remember when Fortnite came out, I think I still have the first video that I ever posted when Fortnite had came out, where it was, the Save the World mode. And the mode, I think they are going to make it free now. So now it's like the whole game is pretty much going to be free. Like, you don't have to even pay for any of the modes and stuff in the game. But I just remember when I never really had played, because I ain't really get into PC gaming until 2013, so I ain't really know too much about Gmod and all that stuff. But just based off of like just watching YouTubers playing that game, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's like this is stuff that's been in here for a while. Same with Grand Theft Auto. It was like, I remember when that game, when it very first came out, and all it just had was a story mode and a multiplayer. And I mean, they had a lot of different things that you could do, but you look at all the stuff that they've added over the years, and they knew that, okay, in order to keep people from, from, I guess, abandoning our game, we got to continuously keep adding content into this game. That's why you see where Gmod, that game's been around for 20 years. 20 years now. Like, that's insane to think that a 20-year-old game still is making more of an impact than any other game out there. So, yeah, that's what I'm like, man. And because my thing is this. If all these other games were good, you would see where, Vanoss and his friends, they would be playing those other games. So that's why I'm like, games like Arc Raiders, how come they're not? Because my thing is this, if people want to say that Arc Raiders is better than Gmod, why is it that there's so many people that still play Gmod videos? You'll see more Gmod content than Arc Raiders content. The only reason why you're seeing Arc Raiders content is because of the hype that this game got going on right now. But other than that, and the funny thing is that people, they don't want to talk on that. They don't want to and it's funny because if they do, they want to try to find an argument for it. But the player count for Arc Raiders right now, and I think with Gmod, it's going to be a little bit lower and stuff because it's one of those games where I don't think too many people know about it. But I guarantee and I promise you, if Gmod got the same amount of hype as Arc Raiders, people would be playing that game over Arc Raiders. But anyways, but no, Arc Raiders. So when the game, it was sometime after the game came out, but they had an all-time peak of 481,000 players, and this was like all in like a single day. And so it was funny because I had talked about this a while ago, and somebody was all like, oh, you can't compare the amount of players to what's going on. And I'm like, fam, that was their best day. You're not just going to ignore your best day because, oh, it's not going to benefit your argument. No, my thing is this. I'm bringing up the facts. I'm bringing up stuff that I've seen over the years, because so many different times where I just talked about this not too long ago, H1Z1, how that game, it was a one mode game, and then eventually they start switching it to other stuff, but the hype around that game died off, and then eventually it was a game that was like, we're now talking about it in past tense, because it's like nobody is playing that game right now. And I showed how like there's only a few people playing that game right now. But no, with Arc Raiders, it was, somebody was trying to like argue with me about the player count, and I'm like, okay, you can come up with anything that you want to come up with to argue with me, but it still shows that they've lost 300,000 players. Why is that? And it's funny now that it's like, I remember back then when the game came out, oh yeah, any and everybody was defending that game. Now I'm starting to see the conversation going to like transferring over to, this game, it's the hype done died off. It's not fun no more. You got where people are ruining the game. They're not trying to, the only thing that I think I heard recently with the game is that they're either they already added them or they are going to add them some harder arcs to kill. And then I checked an update where now they done had it where they've nerfed a lot of the different damage that you can put out. I don't know if it was because I just seen where it was like nerf damage has been like, or damage has been reduced. I don't know if it's for the arcs or for the players, but why would they make the game easier to play? So that's why I'm like, we live in a day and age where, for some reason, developers, they don't mind making a game difficult for people. And it's like, okay, well, if you see a lot of different people abandoning the game, That's why, because I'm like, that just to me doesn't even make any sense. Why would you get, or I guess like, I mean, if I guess if you're doing it for the PvP aspect of the game, then okay. But if you're doing it for the PvE aspect, you know, against the environment and stuff, then it's like, fam, I'm not trying to have it where I'm wasting all of my ammo going up against this one enemy. So that's why I'm like, man, you know, it's, and you know what, the thing is this, as much as people want to sit around and argue with me about the dying stage of Arc Raiders that's going on right now, I'm just gonna let the game speak for itself. You know, the thing is this, people, when you want to sit here and argue with me, fine, be right on the argument, but at the end of the day, I guarantee and I promise you, this game ain't gonna last to see the end of the year. It had its good run, but there's multiple games that are coming out. There are multiple games that are receiving big updates. I think, Gray Zone Warfare, that's probably the one game where I think its update is being talked about a lot. So I could definitely see its player base jumping up a little bit. Maybe not a whole lot. Maybe not up to the same player count as Arc Raiders. But definitely I could see. I wonder what Gray Zone Warfare, what their player count is right now. But I imagine that it's probably low because, yeah, you know, there ain't probably a whole lot of people that know about that game. And so, yeah, it's only 2,000 people playing the game right now. But I'm saying, my thing is this, Gray Zone Warfare, and so I know people will probably be all like, so what's the difference between, or why is it that you praise Gray Zone Warfare, but you don't praise Arc Raiders? Like, what's the issue with that? Well, for one, Arc Raiders ain't got no PvE mode. Maybe if it would have had a PvE mode, then I think I would have been saying good things about the game. But if you're forcing people to only play one mode and you're not giving multiple people options, and that's what I like about Gray Zone Warfare, is that, yeah, it might only be a one mode game, it might be just another extraction shooter, but at least they separate the people that want to go up against other people and the people that just want to go around and find loot. Yeah, I might not be able to find the best of loot when playing the PvE mode, but my thing is this though, I can join in on that game, not have to worry about nobody killing me, extract, have the craziest experience of all time. And I have to say, like, as difficult as Gray Zone, because Gray Zone Warfare is far more difficult than Arc Raiders. No, they have it where it's like you, if you get shot in that game, you have to, they don't have it set up like in Arc Raiders where it's like if you take damage, your health thing just stays at wherever, you know, I guess whenever the, the gunshots or however you took damage, it stops at a certain point, your health. And Gray Zone Warfare, they have it where it's kind of a survival game, so they mix it in with survival and with extraction shooting and stuff. So yeah, you don't necessarily have to like do the missions and all that. I know with me, I've been kind of like blending it up where if I'm in the area and I'm doing the missions, then okay. But they do kind of have it a little bit confusing on how to do the missions. So that's why I'm like, I'm waiting for this update to come out so it's a little bit more easier to understand the game. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, they do have it where there's a lot more to the game. It's more in depth than Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders just comes out as a difficult arcade game. And I guarantee and I promise you, just like how arcade game is, you know, back if we go all the way back to the 80s and 90s when arcade games were, you know, really popular, did you see people in there all hours of the day playing the same game over and over and over again? And there probably are some people, and the thing is this, to answer that question properly, yes, there was probably people in there that were doing that. But as soon as they added a new arcade game in there, that game was pretty much done for. I'm like, let's say they got Pac-Man. Everybody's playing Pac-Man. Everybody loves Pac-Man. Everybody's going back and forth playing it and stuff. As soon as they added I don't know when exactly which one came out first, but let's just say the other one came out afterwards, pinball. Everybody loves pinball. You know, they ain't even made it to where it was all like, no, this is going to be, at the time, this is going to be a free game on computers. Why they got rid of pinball off of computers, I don't know, but because I think if that was a game that was still available today, I wonder, hold on for a second. Let me just check, because I highly doubt they don't have, I don't even understand why they got rid of the pinball game off of computers. That was such a fun game. I remember I would just turn on my computer back when I was a kid, and I was like, I wouldn't go on the internet, I wouldn't do nothing. I'd just sit down and just play pinball for a long period of time and stuff. But even with games like that, I know people will probably be all like, so you're kind of debunking your own argument about how one mode games don't last. But at the same time, I guess, to respond to somebody that would say some stuff like that, what happened to pinball then? Because if it was a game that was still available to this day, yes, I probably would be playing it. But eventually, at some point in time, they realized that people wasn't messing with that game like that, because PC gaming, I think, was it was rising a little bit more. It was more affordable to go out and get you a gaming PC, and then on top of that, they was having it where video games was a little bit more. They wasn't as demanding. So yeah, overall though, they realized that people wasn't really playing PC games like that, and they were like, okay, well, we ain't got no other choice but to take this game off of the computers and stuff. Because I'm like, yeah, I have to say it's probably the older generation that wants to play pinball, but as far as the newer generation, Arc Raiders is pretty much their pinball, and then eventually it is gonna get to a point in time where people are not wanting to mess with that game no more, and because another game done came out, and I know with Gray Zone Warfare, I know they were all like, they were going to have it where that game is not as demanding, but it's one of those games where I'm all like, yeah, comparing it to Arc Raiders, it's definitely more in depth than Arc Raiders. I'm trying to think of some other games. Yeah, there's a lot of different games that are coming out over the years where it's like it's going to stand out more, but I'm like, I don't see, and the thing is this, with Gray Zone Warfare, eventually that game is going to see its course, and I'm probably going to uninstall it, and it's probably going to be one of those games where it's just sitting in my Steam library collecting dust, because there are so many different games. Hold on for a second. Let me go to my Steam library and scroll. There's a lot of games I've played over the years. But, okay. So let's go all the way back to 2016. All right. So let's look for some one mode games. There's this one game called Interstellar Marines. That's a video game where the last time they did an update to it was back in 2019. And I remember that game because they said they were going to have like some walking sharks in there and stuff. And then, yeah, out of nowhere, yeah, there was all like the last update that they did to this game was 6 years ago. So we had 2019 and stuff. So, but it's like the game ain't nobody fooling with it. Ain't nobody, I don't even think, let's just see. Hold on for a second. I still have it open. Let's see if people are still playing Interstellar Marines. Let's see how many people are playing in game right now. No players. 0. One big fat giant 0. 2 people played this game in a 24-hour peak, and it reached an all-time peak 11.1 years ago with 4,426 players. This at one point in time was it was an extremely talked about game because, yeah, they had like sharks with legs in there. So, and I remember seeing that, and I'm all like, oh, that game looks crazy. Oh, I gotta get that. They did absolutely nothing to that game. I think the crazy thing was that I don't even think they had added the sharks in the game unless I had just missed it. But I think that was the case with it, was that they said that they were going to add sharks because it's an early access game. Game is still in early access, by the way. But overall, though, the video game, they said they were going to add sharks. I don't think they ever did add sharks. And then eventually the game just died off and nobody was even fooling with it anymore. So there goes one game. What are some other games? Let's fast forward to 2017. Let's see. Black Squad, do they do anything? Oh, no, they still do stuff to this game. Is it, I guess people, they still play it and stuff, but, this game actually has, 10 game modes. So, I guess, and it is free to play. What's up with this game? How come they don't, they're not doing anything? I guess, like, do people still play it? People, they still play. Oh, it's because they got like the cheaters and stuff. Okay, so yeah, that's one of those. We'll save that for a different day and things. Speaking of, there's like the one game that I was just talking on, H1Z1. So they had their Battle Royale game. And yeah, pretty much it got to a point where people wasn't playing it no more. And I don't even think, hold on for a second. Let's just see how many people are still playing Z1 Battle Royale. 735 people. Okay, so yeah, they overall have it where people still be playing the game. It ain't a whole lot compared to let's see. Wait a minute. 8.7 years ago, and they had 151,000 people playing the game. So when people think that I'm, having this conversation about one mode games to start up an argument, no, I'm doing this because here's the thing. developers, they like to get smoke blown up them. You know, they like to overall have it where they're not being told no, and they're not being told, oh, this isn't going to work. They like yes men. They like people where it's like, oh, what about this mode, or what about this new content, or what about this update? And it's just all these people around them saying, oh yeah, that's gonna work out. Oh, that's definitely gonna work out. Oh yeah, that's gonna be the greatest thing ever to be added into the game. Everybody's gonna love that. And then eventually they look up, and then it's like some years done pass, and they're all like, we were the biggest game at one point in time. What happened? Like, everybody was talking about us, everybody was playing us, and now it's only gone a few people. And so I guess if I had to guess how many people, like, when the game just reaches a dying stage, and then there's just them last few fans that just refuse to give up on the game, I say that Arc Raiders is going to get to a point where it's going to be from 500 to 1,000 people playing the game. I feel like that's as far as it's going to go. And it might be this year, it might be the next year, it might be years from now, but eventually at some point in time, the game is going to die off. So it's like people ain't going to be playing, because I'm like, what? There's so many different games. Let's just talk on some of the games that's going to be coming out on Steam. Just recently, like, just games that's just talking on, because I know there's that one game like Crimson Desert or something like that. That's a game where a lot of people are talking about it and stuff, and that game's actually coming out in a couple of hours, I believe. But you got that game. You have, what's this game, Village Merchant. I don't really know too much about it, but I guess it's coming out tomorrow. Motor Rush Reborn. What are some other games that are coming? It looked like a lot of different indie games. They were like Mall Rivals. Oh, it's like some store simulator game and stuff. But overall, though, I think one game that I can say, well, you know what? Hold on for a second, because I'm like, games coming out in 2026. So Grand Theft Auto 6, of course. Marvel's Wolverine, and then Elder Scrolls 6. Fable, Far Cry 7, 007 First Light, and Dune Awakening. That game came out last. There be at times that AI generated answer, I'm like, fam, what are you talking about? Because I'm like, it'd be some stuff where they say that, and I'm all like, what game are you like, or what year are you in? Like, it'd be at times they be saying things like that. I'm like, fam, what are you talking about? But anyways, 2036. How they gonna have games for 2036? And I'm all like, what games could they possibly be thinking about in that time frame? Oh wow, there was all like Gmod. I don't even think I had looked up, or I had set the amount of people that are playing Gmod still. So 27,000 people are playing that game still. That's actually decent. That's actually pretty good. I'm like, for a game that's 20 years old and it still is bringing in 20-something thousand people, that's actually pretty good. Versus let's see where Marathon is at, because that's another one mode game. Actually, I don't know why they showed it was like 29, then when you clicked on it, then it went up to 35. But still, though, I'm like, fam, for a game that came out some days of 2 weeks ago, game came out 2 weeks ago, and it had an all-time peak of 88,000 people, and then right now they got 35,000 people in the game. That's not good. You know, if anything, the number should be going up. It shouldn't be going down. And then with Gmod, now I can understand why the player count will be going down in that game, because it's an old game. It's like, it's a 20-something-year-old game. There's a lot of different games that came out since then. So my thing is this, though. If a game with all those different modes in it, and it's only, I think Gmod is only, how much is this game? The game don't cost that much. It's only, hold on for a second. Let's see. Actually, they got it on sale right now for $4.99. And it's crazy. You don't have to buy no DLCs or nothing for that game. But no, overall the game is $9.99. If a game that's $9.99 with a million different modes is lost players over the years, I guarantee and I promise you, Arc Raiders and Marathon, it ain't gonna live to see the next year. Because I'm like, with Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out, unless Grand Theft Auto 6 gets delayed and Marathon and Arc Raiders decides to add a bunch of different modes and content into that game, that's the only way I see them two games lasting. But if not that, I guarantee and I promise you, people ain't gonna be playing that game come towards the end of the year and Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out. So, but anyways, with that being said, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. Stay tuned for the next episode. Like, subscribe, viewing this on YouTube. Follow, subscribe, viewing this on the podcast streaming service. And peace.